Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Today, I want to talk to you about this idea of growth mindset. So, I've read unbelievable number of books in my life. I'm probably close to 600, somewhere in that window. And I was thinking about this idea of, okay, maybe if I share every now and then, maybe I'll make it a Friday thing. The books that I'm reading or the books that I've read or the books that have had impact in my life in the hopes that maybe they will do the same for you. And the first book that came to mind as I was thinking about doing this is Mindset by Carol Dweck. And the reason I want to talk about this book, and to be honest with you, it's one of my, I'd call it top five favorite books because the power that it holds when you understand the differentiation between a fixed and growth mindset is unbelievable. And so Carol's book, Mindset, talks about the idea that we kind of live in two phases. We are either in a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. Now, I, for a very, very, very long time, lived within the scope of a fixed mindset. So, what is a fixed mindset? For me, it was I already predetermined everything. I was so much, it's so funny. I think about it now, going back in hindsight, I was so much this person that you couldn't tell me anything. I was always going to be right. I was always going to be in control. I always had it predetermined exactly why my life was the way that it was supposed to be. Yeah, I lived into this idea, these notions, these narratives that everyone else had displaced upon me, saying, you're not good enough, strong enough, capable enough, right? But then more and deeper into that, I lived my life with this assumption that my life was exactly how it was supposed to be because of all the things that happened. And I would always feel pulled or called into this vast amount of stubbornness around my identity. And I recall these conversations with people, and they're like, you are a robot, or you won't let anyone in, or you always seem to have the answer, but you don't ever want to hear anyone's opinion. And if I rewind, I go back to being 18 years old, 21 years old, 25, 26, 27, a decade plus ago, I very much would not listen to anyone, like at all in any capacity. This includes when people would forewarn me of horrendous potential mistakes that I was going to make. And I can assure you that because I did not listen, I made them all. I determined for myself way before I would ever have a conversation with someone whether or not I was going to listen to them. And I talk about this all the time about being open to following your intuition, to following your gut. And I think there's this really interesting fine line between that and being open to possibility. And so I would put myself in these situations where I would constantly put my back against the wall and someone would say, hey, have you thought about this? I'm like, no, 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 no. I know that the way that I'm going to do it is right. There's something to be said about stubbornness and the power that it can have in creating change in your life, but it can also hinder you. It can also be the idea that you would make up your mind about everything before you have all the data will hinder you. It will stop you from progressing. It will stop you from being successful. Having a fixed mindset is so much about this idea that you have already predetermined what's going to happen in your life. And that doesn't necessarily mean like your life can't expand because I've saw it for my own self. But does that mean you're fully living into potential? And I certainly wasn't. And everything was fixed. Everything was, I was disallowing any sort of possibility, any area in which I could have a back and forth with someone in conversation about anything around my life, and more so about the capabilities and possibilities that I had in my life. And I wish I would have had this book. This book's pretty recent. Mindset by Carol Dweck is a fairly recent book. It's only come out within the last few years. And I wish I would have had it 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. Because one of the things when you look at people who, whether they are high performers or leaders or just showing up in their everyday life, who are just, I would measure people. I would look at people and say, man, that guy's so far ahead of me. I'll never be where they are. Or that woman has done so much. I can never imagine. That's just not going to be my life. I'm going to have to settle. That is the definition textbook of a fixed mindset.